We are the most beautiful creatures in the whole world, black people. I mean that in every sense, outside and inside. And to me, we have a culture that is surpassed by no other civilization. We don't know anything about it.
Coffee in the morning, in the evening time out. Something about that pretty black, it's so defined out. Swear to God, I shiver when I see it shining, I do. You are beauty personified, it's true. And all that deep dark heaven, take me there, ooh, I wanna go with you. All that deep black heaven, take me there, ooh, I wanna go with you. All that sweet dark heaven, take me there, I swear that I love it, I do.
This is what compels me to compel them. And I will do it by whatever means necessary.
Coffee in the morning, in the evening time out. Oh, well. Something about that pretty black, it's so refined out. Swear to God, I shiver when I see it shining, I do. You are beauty personified, it's true. And all that deep dark heaven, take me there, ooh, I wanna go with you. All that deep black heaven, take me there, ooh, I wanna go with you. All that sweet dark heaven, take me there, I swear that I love it, I do. I do, 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 I do.
Why am I so insistent upon giving out to them that blackness, that black power, that black pushing them to identify with black culture? I think that's what you're asking. I have no choice over it.
Deep in my soul, it do.
Good morning, and welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Church of Arlington. And I have to go after that, which was awesome. We are an intentionally welcoming congregation, open to people of all backgrounds, races, genders, sexual orientations, and abilities. At UUCA, we encourage people to come for community, find inspiration, and live with purpose together. My name is Burke Kapler, and I'm a member of the board and its vice chair. Today is Sunday, February 6th, and it's the first Sunday of Black History Month. Whether this is your first time worshiping with us or this is your regular Sunday routine, we're glad you're here. The theme for this month is widening the circle. What a great mental image for our congregation. A circle of people growing ever wider as more and more join in. It makes me think of the school dance. The bigger the circle, the more people can dance, the better the party. You might know that Widening the Circle is also the title of a recent report from the UUA's Commission on Institutional Change. That report looks at ways we as UUs can widen our circles to include all of the members of our communities, especially those often marginalized due to race, background, ability, or orientation. I can tell you that it's a deep read, and it's a sometimes troubling one. As the report reveals, the UUA and its congregations have not always practiced the values of welcome we preach, and the result has sometimes been painful. I'm happy to tell you, though, that inspired by this effort and by our congregation's adoption of the eighth principle, the board has created a Widening the Circle working group to reflect on the report and to build its teachings into the board's own work. To that extent, the board used our December retreat to discuss the report and some key questions it poses. To be perfectly honest, we had several questions on our list, and over the course of about 2 hours, we managed to make it through like 1.5 of them, because these are serious questions. So, as a result, we decided to include Widening the Circle discussions as a regular part of our board meeting agendas from now on. These help us continue the conversation and orient us toward always widening the circle in our work. So far, we've already discussed the informal structures at UUCA that might privilege the status quo, and we've brainstormed ways we can increase diversity, equity, and inclusion. As a sneak preview, our future discussions will look at our relationships with the UUA, how we can reach out to and include youth and young adults, especially youth and young adults of color, how we can partner with other congregations to build diversity, equity, and inclusion, and what the critical steps to doing this work here are. I invite you to join this important conversation. The board meets on the fourth Tuesday of every month, and you're welcome to observe the meeting. We also set aside time for questions and comments from the congregation at the beginning of the meeting. And you can dig into the report yourself. You can order a copy from the UUA or even download it for free from the UUA website. It includes free audio recordings of every chapter so you can listen as you go. And I hope you'll keep this conversation going in your homes, with your friends in the congregation, and even over virtual coffee in the morning after the service. Again, we welcome you to our circle here today. Thank you for sharing your presence to make it even wider. Now let us worship.
Burke, thank you so much for that welcome and for your work on the board and the board's engagement with this important work, widening the circle of concern. Black life is, Black history is, Black culture is important. This month, first let us hold up the accomplishments, stories, and contributions of Black women and men and people of all genders. Next, as we honor our siblings of spirit, blood, bone, and hope, let us also dream new dreams of acceptance, learning, and compassion for ourselves, our families, and our communities. Lastly, let's remember that Black History Month is an opportunity to challenge the stubbornly persistent tendency to teach Black history as a footnote to American history. Let us commit to telling the complete story of our vibrant African American culture to family, friends, and most importantly, to our children. Welcome to Black History Month at UUCA. This month, we have a special focus on remembering, affirming, and celebrating the accomplishments and contributions of African Americans. Together, we will also lean into our commitment to build the beloved community, practice open listening, and delve deep into the work of anti-racism and anti-oppression. In February, we'll have several activities. We invite you to come and ask a friend or family member to join you. Walk the labyrinth, join a Faith 360 class, perhaps one exploring the Widening the Circle of Concern report, donate to help Afghan refugee families, or attend Sunday services like this one, which center the words, music, and voices of Black people. Black history is American history. This month, let's experience some of that history together. Our call to worship this morning is included in the Widening the Circle of Concern report. It comes from a sermon preached by the Reverend Dr. Sophia Betancourt in 2018. We are on a journey toward redemption. We have lived a year filled with lamentation, with the strength of generations, the failures of the everyday, and the deep down gritty messiness that is the promise of our salvation. There is inherent goodness that exists between and among us. I want to honor the weary, ragged miracle that is our living tradition. I invite you now to join me as we light our chalice. Perhaps you are lighting a chalice at home. We gather together as a community of memory and hope to celebrate life and its infinite possibilities for love. We light this chalice as a symbol of the light within every human heart. May our individual sparks meet and merge, bringing both light and warmth to the world. Our chalice lit, our worship begun. It is my honor to introduce our guest preacher this morning, Reverend Dr. Jay Hooper, sometimes known as the ethical evangelist, is an ethical culture leader, in fact, serves as leader at the Susquehanna Valley Ethical Society, or the Valley, is an affiliate minister at First Unitarian Society of Minneapolis in Minnesota, and is, to my great honor and joy, a longtime friend and colleague from the ethical culture movement. And Jay, I'm so excited that you are with us today. I also just wanted to note and honor that Jay brought the majority of our music this morning. Many of the artists are part of Jay's circle. Jay themselves is an artist and as well as a clergy leader. And so, so I thank you for that, Jay. And I'm just so excited that you're here and that now I believe you are going to share a wisdom lesson with us.
Yes, I am. And so for those who are in the space, I welcome you. I welcome you. I welcome you. Of course, this is your home, but if I can just welcome you in your home and invite you into your space to love on yourself a little bit more, that's what we're going to do today. I want to share with you the beautiful story of Oshe Atura. It is an Odu rooted from the Yoruba tradition, that Yoruba being located in West Africa, a region in West Africa. So if you've never looked it up before, go check it out. There are some beautiful stories and histories, and definitely in this case, a cosmology waiting for you. There's this beautiful moment, though, that we get introduced to the creation of the world. I mean, the world that we live in today is being created by these amazing orishas, these spirits, these guides who actually step their foot onto the earth for the very first time to give it life. And as they go and they begin to walk through the earth and creating vegetation, whether they are in the grounds and working on the metals, and thunder and lightning is taking place. Trust me, it's a very patriarchal setting, I'll be honest with you. But in the end, what happens is there are these amazing men working so hard, these masculine figures working so hard to create the earth. And there are only a few women in the midst. And one of these women is named by the name of Oshun. Oshun is the Orisha, the spirit guide of sweet water, love, and if anything more, she is absolutely beautiful. She is stunning. She is radiant. And as she walks through the earth, she is going about looking in her mirror as she always does. It is something that she does as she moves through. And everything is being created around her. She looks and she gazes upon everybody else working. And she hears some talking from some of the fellas working so hard. The other Orishas start kind of saying that she's not really doing anything at all. And to be honest, we would look at probably say that she's just vain and she's not doing anything. She's not helping, do anything to the earth. She's just walking around looking at herself. And so because she's interested in her beauty and her sweet water and her love, that's all she's interested in. Well, Oshun doesn't take kindly to insult. And because she heard this comment, she decides, fine, I don't need to be around. So she goes to the moon. Like, yeah, some divas like to do. Right? And so they go to the moon and they decide to powder their face. She's powdering her face. She's focused on other things. And all of a sudden on the earth, where all the other Orishas are trying to build and create a world that everybody can live in, so they say, they notice that things are falling apart. The earth is losing its substance. The sky is not holding to its grips. And all of a sudden, the water is drying up and everything that was being created is just weak. And so these Orishas go to the supreme god, Olodumare, pronouns they and them. And so, of course, Olodumare has the moment of being like, what's going on? Well, the Orishas look and say, look, you brought us down here, but ain't nothing happening. Nothing is growing. Everything is drying up. I don't understand. So Olodumare looks very closely and is wondering, well, where is Oshun? And so Oshun is still on the moon powdering, honey. She can't help herself because she's not going to be down there dealing with insult. But Olodumare calls her and says, come. And she explains what happens. She doesn't even bother to get too worked up, but she just makes it very clear that she was insulted. And they had assumed that they didn't need her, that they didn't need love in the world. But what they failed to realize is that love was the substance that held everything together. What they failed to realize is that beauty was the very thing that called us into actual holiness and curiosity of holiness, of our greatest humanity. What they failed to realize is in the moment of sweet water, when everything else is bitter, you've got something to refresh your soul. The thing about Oshun is that she embodied so much of it that you could miss it just by getting caught up in what you're used to doing. And so I invite you today to engage the moment of Oshun. I invite you today to engage maybe this story, this cosmology, and start putting love back into the world. Start putting the essence of refreshing in the world. Start putting beauty back into the world, because that is how really the world began.
Love is love, love. Love is love, love. This kind of love. Love is love, love, love. Love is love, love. Open my eyes, sun bright, feel right. Gonna kiss my love, feel that, wanna steal that. Cute chit chat, know what I'm thinking of. Your kiss, that bliss, miss this baby, you the plug. Know it, love it, so lit, we feel like a club. No love, ain't get enough. You got the stuff, my heart dreams of, and I don't see no color, babe. No male, female, it's just your face. Love is love, love, love. Love is love, love. And I don't see no color, babe. No male, female, it's just your face. I love the way, never erase. Love is love, love, love. Love is love, so high, no lie, you are the one I want. That smile lights up, can't get enough, even when it's tough. You worth the fussing, baby. I just wanna think about your love. Can't get enough. You got the stuff my heart dreams of, and I don't see no color, babe. No male, female, it's just your face. Love is love, love, love. Love is
When I think about love,
His family.
Hanging out with my dad.
This cute little face right
also
here.
music.
Love yourself.
It's about trust.
God is love.
My love is fun. Being present.
It's what makes us human.
Love is love. Thank you so much, Jay, for that story, reminding us of the centrality of love to all that is created and grown, and for that beautiful music. I want to invite you, friends, during this moment to share in the chat where you are finding or bringing or maybe needing love today. Share your joys, your sorrows with each other and into the sacred arms of this community. Share a little love for a moment as we move into a time of meditation and prayer, as we move into a time of ever greater love. Spirit of life and love. Friends, I invite you into a moment of prayer with me. I invite you to close your eyes if you would like, or perhaps you choose to open them to read in the chat the love being shared among friends old and new. Spirit of life and love, you surround us this morning. You grow in every memory shared, in every reaching out, in every simple hello. Today, we find love in this space, connected across miles. We find love in the music, in the words, in the silence between. May we today find that our hearts have an infinite expanding available, so that more love might come in day by day, week by week. Allow them to break and grow and break and grow again until we are nothing but love, moving in the world like light. May it be so for us. Amen. Blessed be.
Fuente de amor, ven hacia mí, al corazón cántale tu compasión, sopla volar su
just absolutely wonderful. Thank you, Sophia. Thank you for that. I had a little bit of my cultural stank face. I grew up in, in Pentecostal church. We would make stank faces when you sang so well. So honey, you killed that for me. Yes, I love it. And I will join you next time when I come. I will be able to sing it with you. So I want to say thank you for having me. Thank you to Amanda and all of the friends that are here, all of the family that is here. It is so good to see you virtually. If you're on YouTube, I send you love. If you are on Facebook and you were watching, I send you love. I'm so glad to just have my face in the place. And it's so good to be with all of you. I want to just for a moment honor Sidney Portier, because this is a sermon that is kind of been inspired by his work and his legacy, especially as we think about those Black history, especially with regards to Black History Month. I definitely want to honor our ancestor like him and leave you with this quote by him as well, saying that acting isn't a game of pretend. Acting isn't a game of pretend. It's an exercise in being real. If anybody knows me, I love to be real. I am who I am. The way that you see me, I show up in a space. I'm going 9 times out of 10 be 100 with you, tell you the truth and a loving truth, but at the same time, not call you out, but call you in. And so this is my way of being in the space. I want to honor this moment with you and share with you in your hearing a little bit of I'll say a wonderful liftoff from this wonderful book that I picked up called The Black Flamingo. Black Flamingo deals with the story of a dear young soul who is in the journey of discovering their queerness, particularly as being Black and queer and moving in the world. But I want to just read this quick section. In your hearing, it goes as such. Daisy asked, "Want to get lunch together?" I feel like she needs the company as much as I need it. Do you have a packed lunch? Asked Daisy. No. I paused. I get free school meals. Well, she said, you can sit with me after you've eaten. I'll be in B24. Bring a book. I don't have a book, but I think I might have a new friend. I'm finishing my lunch, wolfing it down extra quickly in the cafeteria. I need to go to the library, pick up a book before I go to B24 to meet Daisy. But then some girls joined me. 2 in front and 1 next to me. The girl next to me wears glasses. Her blonde hair is in a ponytail. Hey, I'm Grace, says the blonde, then points. This is Faith, and this is Destiny. Faith and Destiny smile, and Faith says, hey, you're the new boy, Michael, right? Destiny in black and her hair is straightened. Faith looks mixed like me. Her hair is slicked down with a scrunchie that she wears, and it's got a pop out. Looks like a halo. I can't tell if it's just because I've eaten my lunch too quickly or if I'm feeling something like dread. I decide to swallow the feeling. That's me. I say, finishing up my sponge cake. Nice to meet you. Grace asked, so why are you new? Why are you new? Guess who's coming home for dinner? But why are you new? I would like to just pinpoint that possibly we're all getting the news feeds of course, wonderful Black historical moments and looking at historical figures. And I would like to bring attention to the importance not of just the history of such a people, but the Black love that actually was in the midst of that history. Love, as if I may, love that I would attach to the words of James Baldwin, a love that James Baldwin defines as a state of being, a state of being, a state of grace, not in the infantile American sense, as he says, or being made happy, but in a tough and universal sense of quest, daring, and growth. It is there that I enter into this space. It is there that I ask you the question, why are you new? You would assume that because I am a guest, that immediately that I am new and that I've never been here before. But what if I invite you for a moment to also realize that you are also welcome at the table in your newness? Jamie Foxx in the Spider-Man movie calls this kind of little word the new, right? He doubles up on the word. It's kind of a play, what we call a meta communication. We know what new means, but when you say it double time, you actually emphasize the fact that new can always be renewed. And so the new in your life is something I want you to experience. So guess who's coming home for dinner? It might just be parts of yourself that you actually had to tuck away throughout the rest of the day. It might be the moment that you actually have a time to take off your glasses and really sit in the house and not be able to see like everybody else because you didn't pay too much money to not see people, right? So you put them on, right? But in the end, right, you've done everything else for everybody else on everybody else's time, on their schedule. And in the end, at the end of the day, who's coming home for dinner? Who's coming home for dinner? Questions sit with me as I think about this. Questions really deeply sit with me because the question is actually both public and personal. It is a public question of who is coming. It is a personal question and a public question of who is new. Because we never really actually, we assume that the world that we live in is just so structured and defined that we know who we are every time we wake up. We have set schedules and we have set regiments. And we know those routines, but might I invite you into embracing new? New has very little to do with routine. It actually has a lot to do with ritual, because ritual asks you, what do you want to transform into? Where routine asks you, how do you want to maintain yourself? Sit with that for a few minutes. I know that was something that we did not expect for a few, because I didn't either when I first learned it. I had been engaging for years in a lot of routines that had allowed for me to maintain sometimes a respectable, acceptable, presentable way of being in the space. But then there's the moment in which I have to realize I need ritual. I am asking myself in the very moment to sit with the challenge of what do I want to transform into? And in the moment, how do I experience the other or the beloved stranger in my space so that they can share in the courageousness of transforming with me? Well, what does that mean? That means that during the routines of our daily life, we have actually tucked away aspects of our humanity to make others feel comfortable. We have tucked away parts of what we consider to be true, only to realize that we never said what we really felt. And we never actually expressed it at all. Some of us choose honesty. If I may give you a little bit of my ethic around honesty, I meet people who say that they're honest, and I value that. Honesty is often positioned for me when I hear someone say it from a standpoint in which they take the words that they want to say without hurting my feelings, because they want to honor the person that I am. They want to offer a sense of humility, and they want to engage with me in a way that makes me feel comfortable. I'm okay with that, but I prefer the truth. The truth holds this for me: transparency. I get to see through you like you get to see through me. It holds triumph. at the very end of the conversation or at the end of your statement, I have realized that I have risen into a space where I can now see myself through you as a reflection of you. And at the same time of that reflection, I'm also going to experience maybe terror, meaning that I'm going to sit with the discomfort of who I am when I'm in your presence. And so all of that is in the space when truth comes into this community. So have we thought for a moment, as I like to pose these questions, even for myself, who are we missing? Who are we missing? We might think that we're missing in the midst of all of our community building and widening our circle, that we might need to revisit who are we missing? Not just other people, but what part of you are we missing? How do we find those parts of ourselves? Who is holding our hand along this journey? You can't ever just expect to come to somebody's house and expect for it to be the same as your house. As someone who grew up in part of my life in Richmond, Virginia, to be honest, most of my friends were white. And when we go to eat, because I would go across the street to sometimes eat, because I was hanging out with my friends half the day, I would notice that the sun hadn't even hit the ground yet, and they'd be yelling out, "Hey, it's supper time." Supper? It's like 5 o'clock, 5:30. What do you mean supper? Well, I wasn't familiar with fish sticks or anything like that. I wasn't familiar with 2% milk. Let's just be real. I wasn't used to any of it. It was a very cultural experience for me every time I would go across the street to my neighbor's house. This is because, of course, my neighbor across the street had 2 sons, and, she was a mom who mostly stayed at home, maybe worked part-time. It was a very different experience compared to when my parents would say, "It's dinner time," because dinner started at 7:30. My mother worked 2 jobs and couldn't get home at the same time as everybody else. So I'd already had supper, and now I'm having dinner. And it was perfect because I was still hungry because I wasn't even used to the size of the portions. And so the cultural experience that I had to get used to was understanding who was I when I came into these spaces. And from this point on, ever since I have grown up, I'm often, because I'm in predominantly white spaces, I'm very used to now supper. And I find it to be a quite of joy, because I will say, leave the leftovers for my 7 o'clock moment if I need it. It is really realizing and actualizing myself is what I'm saying. Realizing and being able to actualize myself when I'm at or in the presence of another that I am not familiar with. Being able to come fully as myself and be absolutely honest, not in a sense of vanity, but in the need of actually being courageous enough to show who I am. In the words of Reverend Dr. Howard Thurman, who was Dr. King's mentor, he would say, "I want to be me without making it uncomfortable for you to be you." It is a call to dignity. It is a call to dignity to realize what it means to actually be in a space, to be authentically yourself. It is the moment where it is no longer I have to socially or politically pretend for anybody else, but to show up in my full humanity. Well, what, for instance, have we been in that actually brings us discomfort? I often think about that question. Where does the discomfort come from? And I've come to ponder. Maybe if you want to ponder with me. Is it because we've decided to be so complacent, rooted in convenience, some act of comfortability that we cater it and call it peace? that somehow ensures that at the end of the day, we win? How privilege can be so blinding. And I myself can engage in such ways where I actually do not want to disrupt my own comfortability. And I myself want to be so convenient. And I myself want to sometimes be complacent. And I myself, and I realize that as an artist, I will never be that. Because I, as the artist, am constantly sitting like James Baldwin says. The artist is here to disturb the piece. I am looking at what makes us new. I am asking you to bring out the materiality and the intangible gifts of yourself that you had to tuck away for the rest of the world. Because I remember what it was like to actually enjoy levels of fashion and levels in which I would hide myself from being the queer little Black boy in the world. I did, only to realize that actually that needs to be in the space because my humanity is holy. Let me invite you into a word, a little fancy word called numinous for a second before we leave up out of here. I promise I'll behave even though I have a Pentecostal tradition in my background. To be holy, I'm inviting you into a holy curiosity. You have probably wondered, oh my gosh, we have started off with this kind of music and everything, and now the service is not what it normally is. Amanda's holding it together for us and bringing us through, but there's a lot of stuff happening right now. It's okay. I'm inviting you to do it. Welcome, journey with me. Dance with me, if you will. As my dear friend Burke had said earlier, I want you to widen the circle with me and get courageous with me, because to be holy, Rudolf Otto, a theologian, states and talks about the numinous. The numinous is very interesting. If you break the word up into its Greek formations, it has one word called numen. Numen means divine quality. The other word is ominous. Now, some of us are probably familiar with that word. That word kind of offers us a sense of terror or a little bit of fear, right? And so when we put these words together, Rudolf Otto actually describes the ideas of the holy to hold a numinous quality. Well, that's kind of interesting, but that's nature. Check this. We actually need water. Water is an important vital source of life, but at the same time, too much water, you drown, right? We need to be warm. As I think about my dear sister, Sophia, which I hope you have your heat on, honey. Right, what we need heat, but too much heat, you get burned. See, holy experiences are not necessarily always good, and they're not necessarily always bad. They're just experiences, but it's all in how you handle them. It is all in how much you give into the space. So I'm inviting you into your own holy humanity and realize that you will possibly have to go through some of the things in your life, and unpack some of those areas that you don't want to unpack because you want to be so dignified. And maybe you want to be more put together and more comfortable. And maybe you want to put on your suit and your tie. And maybe you need to look like the business exec. Trust me, I grew up in the house ball community. So there was a certain way you had to look. You had to be presentable. You had to speak a certain way. Trust me, I have a PhD, but I like to actually just speak, real folk talk. I don't like to get too fancy with my language, right? I like to break it down so we can be in community and not be in the elites, right? I want to be here with you and sharing the energy of who you are as not only just congregation, but community. I use congregation as an antonym to segregation because I know I belong in this space and I can share it with you because we are working off of the virality of love, right? That's how we do congregational work. And so I'm inviting you into your holy curiosity about yourself. I would like for you possibly as a small exercise, if you've never had to do it before, as we get ready to close, this might be your homework assignment for the week. Take for a moment and write the word Newman. That's N-U-M-E-N, okay? And then write the word ominous, right? O-M-I-N-I-O-U-S. I think I spelled that right. And if I didn't, it's okay. I know you got Wikipedia and YouTube University, right? So what we can do is we can make a two lists, right? I want you to write all your divine qualities. I want you to unpack them for yourself. See yourself in all of your splendor and all of your glory and all of your beauty and all of what makes you exactly, uniquely, beautifully who you are. Take everything that is fearfully and wonderfully you and make that list of the Newman, the divine quality. And then what I want you to do, hear me, is to then make the list of the things that you fear about you. Oop. We don't do that often. How dare we ask those questions about ourselves? But to wake up to ourselves is sometimes can not only be the greatest dream, but it can be your wildest nightmare. To realize your full potential, to realize how powerful you really are. I want you to make all of your numinous experience. And then I want you to realize where those numinous, they might have come from childhood. They might have come from some people that didn't really believe in your dream. They might have been some people who tried to put you down. You might have experienced some rejections and some hurts and look, we know how it goes. We all been there at some point in our life. We got letters, we got some scenarios in our life. If you just write all the numinous down, all your ominous parts down, and making that list. Don't get rid of the list. I don't want you to get rid of it. Most people rip it up, throw it away. No, honey. You need to visit that list so you realize all of the hell that you've gone through to be the person that you've been in this place, where all of the ugly, all of the treachery, all of the downfall, all of the downtrodden, all of the broken heart, all of the bad relationship, if you just go ahead and then look over at the divine side of yourself, the numinous side of yourself, you might just realize how powerful you really are, that you can equip yourself to move through this life and widen this circle enough to show up at the table authentically and real. This is not a congregational pretend community. I doubt that. Amanda is here. We don't do pretend. I know y'all ready for me to sit down, and I am. I'm actually sitting on a few pads myself. But in the end, what I want you to do is I want you to take the moment to make that list and be honest about who's coming to the table. Be honest with who's sharing in the dance. Be honest with yourself about how you can grow, how you can evolve. Don't shut yourself out because others have shut you out. Don't shut your uniqueness. Don't shut your artistry. If you a geek, be a geek, baby. Love being a geek. If you a nerd, you be a nerd. You just go ahead, put on your glasses. And I don't care. If you want to wear polka dot with stripes, honey, you be all the things you need to be. If you want to put on a dress today and you had on a pantsuit yesterday, if you got a beard and I don't care. Be everything that you can because you deserve to love yourself. Yes, I vogued it for you because you need to know that you are the one who comes to the table, who is coming to the table. I want to see all of you because you are welcome at the table. You are welcome at the table because at the table there is love. At the table there is liberation. At the table there is life. And that is the best agency you deserve to give yourself. Be just what James Baldwin says, the artist that is here to disturb the peace. I'm inviting you to your most holy experience, your most holy humanity. Thank you.
I am light, I am light. I am not the things my family did. I am not the voices in my head. I am not the pieces of the brokenness inside. I am light. 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 I'm not the mistakes that I have made, or any of the things that caused me pain. I am not the pieces of the dream I left behind. I am I am divinity defined. I am God on the inside. I am a star, piece of it all, my soul inside.
Oh, Shay, thank you so much, Reverend Dr. Jay Hooper. We are so grateful for your words this morning and for the music you have brought. I'm seeing in the chat some hope that folks that we might be able to put, oh, thank you so much, Elise, beautiful. The credit for that piece into the chat, just beautiful. Friends, we just as we give in offering in our words to each other, just as we bring our whole and full selves into this congregation, or we try to, or we strive to, or we hope to, we also share our gifts and resources in this congregation, both within our walls and far beyond them. In February, our Share the Plate recipient is Little Friends for Peace. And as you may know, that means that 70% of our offering will go to Little Friends for Peace this month. Little Friends for Peace, or LFFP, welcomes youth and adults to experience, learn, and practice peace through a variety of peace education programs. They believe that peace education enriches communities by bringing social emotional learning directly to them. LFFP also believes that all people can create homes, classrooms, teams, and workplaces and lives where everyone gives, everyone gains, and everyone wins. There are many ways to pledge through our website, by text, the Give Plus app, and by mailing a check. Just put plate in the memo line. As you are making your donations, please remember that 30% goes to the continuing mission of UUCA, and that in February, 70% goes directly to Little Friends for Peace. I invite you to give accordingly and to consider adding a little extra to your gift this week. I'm going to ask our tech crew, we're going to make a little change to our order of service. I want to save that piece that we had for another Sunday. I'm feeling so filled up by the joy, the invitation to bring our full selves to this moment. I want to stay in that space. And I know that Jay has an invitation for us to do that right now, right here, that we're going to get to in a moment. So thank you for taking that change, making that move today. And I am light resonating in my head today. So I want to invite you to be giving through our many ways to give, and to join me then in sharing the words that bless our offering as we give. Get your thumbs flying on your text giving as we share these words together. We bless and receive these gifts, opening our hearts to true generosity. I invite you to share at home. Let us be grateful when we give, be it time, talent, or treasure, for giving brings us joy. Let us be grateful for our needs and the experience of vulnerability, for they teach us how to receive in community and love. Let us be grateful for those who share their gifts to nurture this congregation, for it is a blessing to make a difference together. It is indeed, it is a blessing to make a difference together, to be a congregation. Jay, I'm going to be holding that hope, that wish congregation as the antithesis to segregation. Thank you for that gift and for so many. I am filled with gratitude this morning. It's always a joy to get to receive in the congregation that you serve. And I am filled with gratitude as well for all of the lay people whose voices have been part of this service and are part of creating this congregation. You know, I came to you to serve as your senior minister about 1.5 years ago. And the first thing people asked when I came was, what is your vision for this congregation? And I have been listening. I have been listening to hear the vision that you all have been creating together. And more, that vision comes into clarity. A vision with a table wide enough for everyone who wants to come to supper or dinner. We're going to keep the meal going. A vision for a community of children and adults, people of all genders and backgrounds and religious explorations and spiritual journeys, to be part of a covenant together, part of something different. Something that offers an alternative to win and lose, and instead is about our whole selves and our whole selves together. That's what I hope for. That's the vision that I hold. And I know that that vision may sound beautiful. And the reality is that there are practical pieces of it that we want to make possible. In our programming, in our staffing, in how we take care of our beautiful building, in all of the ways that we connect with the Arlington community and the Virginia community and the worldwide community. And so I am delighted to invite Amy Shepard to come and share a word, a testimonial, a message about all of that and about how we might create that together with each other. Amy?
Hi, I'm Amy. My family is the Shepards, or as Leanne calls us, the Sheps. And my partner Dave and I have been members here at UUCA for over 15 years. And what I bring to the table is that I am a book nerd. See, books, book nerd. So I'm going to tell you why UUCA and the Capital Campaign are important to me by talking about a book. So when I was a kid, I loved Shel Silverstein, Where the Sidewalk Ends, The Light in the Attic, and of course, the songs that he wrote for Johnny Cash and Loretta Lynn. But one book he wrote I did not like was The Giving Tree. So if you're not familiar, The Giving Tree is a story of a tree and a little boy as he grows to be an old man. Along the way, the boy asks for things, and the tree gives and gives and gives and gives to the boy. Shade, and then leaves to play with, then branches to swing from, then apples. And then as the boy grows older, the branches themselves and the trunk of the tree to sell for lumber. So at the end of the story, what was once a beautiful tree is just a small, sad stump that the boy, now an old man, sits on all alone. But each time the tree gives, the story says, and the tree was happy. Even when it is nothing more than a sad stump at the end of the story, the tree was happy. And the tree was happy because it was happy to give. That's what it was there for. And it loved the boy. So where am I going with this? Yep. UUCA is the tree and we are the boy. UUCA exists to give. And it is happy when it can provide the connection, community, spiritual guidance, pastoral care, RE, music, covenant groups that we as members are asking it for. And when it does these things, UUCA is happy. But if we don't give back as we can, and even prioritize our need for UUCA over some of our other needs when we are able, UUCA will be a sad stump at the end of the story. But imagine a different story. Imagine a story where instead of a one-way relationship with the tree, the boy gave. The boy gave his time. He bought a hose to bring the tree water. He bought some fertilizer and gave it to the tree, and he hired an arborist to trim away any sickly branches. Imagine a story where, although all those things cost money, the boy was willing to give them. So at the end of the story, where instead of a stump with just enough room for one old man to sit, there was an even bigger tree than when we started reading. Imagine a huge tall tree with a thick trunk, strong branches with many kids to climb and swing from, lots of apples to eat, bake, and sell, and a wide encompassing canopy, providing a widening circle of shade for generations to come. That is the UUCA we seek through the Capital Campaign. So say yes to a Capital Campaign visit in your home, virtually, or at UUCA. Make your pledge right now, or if you've already made your pledge, think about whether you can give just a little bit more. Next year, UUCA will be 75 years old. I think of UUCA as having been around for a long time, but if UUCA were an actual tree, it would either be at the very beginning of its life cycle, or it could be near the end. We want to make this the beginning. So join with me in making a Capital Campaign pledge so that we're talking giant redwood tree lifespan here, and UUCA can thrive for thousands. Yes, I said thousands of years to come.
Ooh, y'all got some exciting stuff. Look, she said 75 years young. Look, we don't get old, we just get experience, baby. That's how I look at it. If anybody knows good science, they know that cells regenerate new constantly. So I'm excited for the new work that's happening in this community. I want to go ahead and just move us into a space. So look, if you've got your video on, like, seeing me on the large, I want you to actually shift your video right now to a collective gallery version. And if you see some gorgeous faces and things like that, and I know some of y'all are got little black boxes and things like, I'm asking you to turn on your screen. Come on, I see some seasoned folk in the house ready to move with me. I see some mature folk in the house ready to move with me. Okay, so look, I came into this space because I understand that we actually know how to move a bit, right? Now, I'm not trying to cause nobody to go to no hospital, okay? I know I've hurt myself in some times of dancing. So what I'm inviting you to do is get your sexy good on. Yes, I said sexy in the middle of sanctuary. We can be sexy. We're gonna have some fun. Fun is an acronym for being fabulous, united, and necessary. I need you, you need me. We can be fabulous together and united as we do this. All right, so I want your camera on. I want you to look at everybody in the space. Now, I'm gonna tell you to rock the box, okay? That means I'm gonna put you on spotlight, right? And as you can see, Amanda is already moving. This music is going to be going, and we are about to have a dance, in the words of what Burke was talking about earlier. We are about to share in this moment, and I'm inviting you to dance with me. Dance together collectively. Feel it. I know it might not be your sound right now, but if we can just share in it together and have a moment where we feel empowered, let's go for it. Let me kick this music for you. I think, Sai, what do I need to do here? I think you're still sharing, my friend. Let's see, options.
No, just play your music in the background. That's how we did it, right?
Yeah, okay, cool. I thought yeah, okay. All right, I see some sways. Get the shoulders moving. A little hand, a little joy goes a real long way, trust me. So I see some fancy people. Look, I'm feeling Bet. Bet, you going on Spotlight. Hey, together. She's fabulous, come on. Feeling that energy? Here we go, here we go. She rocks the box. Come on, G, I see you. Come on, yes. Ooh. Yes. Hey, sexy good stuff, you are way more than enough. Go be great and do what you love. Barbara, I'm coming over to you, honey. Everything. She's serving shoulder. Yes, shoulder. Yes. I see Amanda. I gotta give it to Amanda. Look, she giving me hands. She giving me, yes. All life. Rock the box, rock the box. It is not too late. Look at somebody, point to somebody, and just be like, hey, sexy good stuff. Let's see who else we got going. Oh, I'm feeling Nancy. Nancy done got up. Come on, Nancy. You better serve. You better slay, honey. Woo! Oh, this congregation is dangerous. I'm here for this. You are way more. Look. Woo. Hope you take a breather, fan yourself. Yes. You are way more than enough. Go be great. That is Kavion, Sexy Good. I will put that in the chat in a few. I just want to offer you this benediction. It is, I think it just, as we just talk about, go and be great. Go and do things. I invite you with this to go create justice. Go create love. Be the way to peace. Be the truth of peace. The truth of peace. Be the light of peace. Go be the power in the human spirit. Thank you so much. You are such a beautiful community. I hope you love yourself in the process called life.